laying low from the heat. Me and Bone had our ear to the street.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I'm gonna take a minute to tell you about a way to bleed your brakes without having to have a second person and without having to sit there and pump the brakes for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So bear with me and watch this little trick and tell me in the comments what you think about it. So as you know, I swapped out the master cylinder in my car from the old one. And the old one is this here, the regular G-body one, of course. So I swapped it out for the Willwood one. Alright. Went with the 1-inch bore. And it's a little bit that comes with that, but it's not bad. Yeah, I didn't put the what is that? The distribution shit in there. I didn't run with that, but I might do it later. We're just gonna run with this for a minute and then we'll see what happens, and then I might switch it up later. But this car has Willwood set up on the front, and then it has it's got a 12-bolt posi in the back with C-clip eliminators and 410 or 411 gears. I can't remember which one it is, but regular brakes, right? So when I got this car, it had no line on that side. This line was here, but it was all bent up, and it didn't have the little rubber line that runs from the center section between the two metal lines up to the frame. That was cut. So I had to replace that line, and I just went ahead and replaced the two lines running to the outsides. The brakes were brand new, but they were never hooked up. When I got this car from the guy who sold it to me, I got rid of the other brakes and I put the Willwoods on there. So as I got this engine put in, I decided to go ahead and got it put in. But when I was dealing with this, I decided I'm gonna go ahead and get my back brakes working, because for the longest time this car never had back brakes. And my goofy ass had been driving it like that. Of course I wasn't doing any dumb shit besides sliding the car around, but I wasn't smashing through traffic and shit like that. So I was just driving around town regular speed. But here's this trick. Let me get to this trick. I got a syringe, a bigger syringe, right? This little hose here came with the Willwood setup so that you can bench bleed. When I say Willwood setup, I don't mean the brakes. I mean that master cylinder, right? This hose came with that so that you can bench bleed it. So I did bench bleed the system through that, and just loop it up around, of course, and that part was done. But then when I got the hoses and everything ran, I took this little piece of hose right here, which is this hose, cut it, just a short little piece, and then I wrapped it around. As you can see, like, it's part way around that. I just put that around there, all the way around, of course. I just got it so you could see it. So that was all the way around. And all that does is it gives this a little bit of pressure around the whole hose. It holds this hose to this hose so this don't slide out, and so that you don't get leak around here. That's all that's for. That's all it is. It's just modification. So I started the farthest wheel away from the vehicle, away from the master cylinder, which is the back corner in the passenger side rear corner. Open that bleeder screw, of course, and make sure your master cylinder stays full of fluid. So the top can be off, right? Fill it up and go back there. Of course, you can see the car is on how this damn thing sits, how the car sits. The master cylinder is at an angle. It is. So when I done this, I had the back of the car jacked up to where that thing is even, just flat across. That's what I did. To each his own. Everybody ain't gonna do this the same. That's you, that's me. They make those that are even, flat. I didn't go with that one. I went with this one. It's what I wanted, so I got what I wanted. So all I did is hook up that line on the other side to that syringe, and then I sucked the fluid through and then tighten the bleeder screw. Put the fluid into a container so that it's empty. The syringe is empty. And then I pulled the fluid back through again. Suck the fluid back through, tighten bleeder screw. And I did that side, then this side. That side, then this side. Check my fluid, put more fluid in, loosen that side, pulled the fluid through with the syringe, and emptied the syringe into another container. Made sure the syringe was empty, pulled it through again, Every time I pull fluid through, I tighten the bleeder screw back. Empty the syringe and put it back on there. Pull the syringe, open the bleeder screw. Pull more fluid out. Put it back into the other container. And I just kept going side to side, side to side. Never touched the brakes. Got done with the back. Checked the fluid. Went up here, made sure my fluid was still good on both reservoirs, because there's 2 reservoirs in there. There's a hole in between the 2, so that this one's the back. This is the back. This is the front. So the back will automatically leak into the front, which is not a problem. You just have to make sure you keep fluid in this one. You know, as that fluid went through, let's put a little bit more fluid in, and then I came to the front. Now, these are 4-piston calipers on the front of this car. Both sides, of course, for those of you who don't know that. So, started with the passenger side, and the 2 bleeder screws, there's 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top. You do not have to mess with the ones on the bottom. Well, you're not going to be able to see that. Well, yeah, maybe you can. You do not have to mess with the ones on the bottom. But the ones on the top, of course, the 2 that's on the top, you do have to do each one. Now, you see that little copper? The copper, it's not that one. It's the little one on top. Well, I guess it don't matter if you don't have wheel woods. Either way it goes. I started with the inside, the outside, that one first, and then the inside. Pull the fluid through with the syringe, and then tighten the bleeder screw back. Empty the fluid. Put the syringe on the inside bleeder screw. Pulled the fluid, loosened it, pulled the fluid through, tightened the bleeder screw. And I just went back and forward, did it about 3 times. And then I went over to the other side and did the same thing. On this side, I started with the outside and went to the inside. Outside, then inside. Outside, then inside. Each time I did it, I loosened the bleeder screw. It's the same setup. Not the bottom. You don't need to mess with the bottom. The only reason they have the bottom on there is for if you put these in a different location on the vehicle, you can flip it around. That's the reason they have 2 down here and 2 at the top. So the ones on the bottom you don't have to touch. But I started with the top one. Let's see, top one, outside, and then the inside. So outside then inside, outside then inside. I did that 3 times. Each time I'd loosen the bleeder screw, pull the fluid through, tighten the bleeder screw, then I would empty the syringe into a separate container so that the syringe is empty, and then I'd suck more fluid through. And just like that, with this staying full, keeping it full, I had 2 things of fluid, 2, and just like that, I bled the brakes. When I was done, pulled the car out, took it around the parking lot. Brakes work perfectly fine. And that's doing all 4 corners, new lines in the back, new master cylinder. These lines weren't new. These are the old lines, but nothing was wrong with them. But the line from that rubber line that runs from the frame to the center of the rear end, and the 2 lines that ran to each wheel, those were replaced. Like I said, and the brakes work perfectly fine. So that's a trick for you. You can go on Amazon and get these right here. It came with 2 of them. The other one I used for gas in my carburetor when I filled up the 2 bowls in the carburetor. So that way, first startup, I didn't have to pump the car and get the car full of fucking gas, because those little bowls in there help with that. But that's a perfect way to bleed your brakes, all by yourself, without pumping. Now, for those of you who can't get that to work, I have no idea what you're doing. Maybe you're sucking fluid in by letting that bleeder screw move around too much, loosening it too much. I don't know. But it worked perfectly fine for me. And I took the car out and took the car around the parking lot. I'm here at my shop, and nothing has been a problem for me. So that's just a little trick. Maybe you should try that and see what you come up with. That way you ain't got to call your buddy and work their legs to death. And see what happens. Yep. Yeah, so if you get a chance and you're working on some brakes, try that, see what you come up with, because it worked for me. And I hate having to call somebody to help me do brakes. It is, man, it's a pain in the ass. I hate it. So if this right here can help somebody else, that'll make me happy, just because I know the fucking terror of having to call somebody and then wait for them to say, hey man, I can do that for you now. I can't do it until 6 o'clock tonight, or I can't do it until this weekend. Now you're waiting on people. I don't like that. I don't like that. I mean, I understand it is what it is, but I don't like that. So yeah, if you can make it work by yourself, there you have it. And until next time, have a good night.
Bought a briefcase, fake bills on the